All right, this is Frankie. I thought that was your nose. This is just a rubber band up here. Hey, Frankie. Yes, he just got done getting some exercise on the stairs. This is Frankie's roadmap to success. One of the things that we went over is, well, he's an intact dog, and I've been pushing the Guardian. I really think that neutering him is going to help with a lot of the problems that he has. And the Guardian's considering breeding him for herself or potentially some relatives. I promise you, when you're ready to find another dog, let me know and I'll help you find another Maltese. But it really kind of gives him a singular purpose. Not only do I want to breed, but also I have to mark things so that other females in the area know that I'm around. But when I'm marking things, that is kind of a way of him asserting himself as a leader, and that confuses him. Also, he marks in the house. He has some accents, marks, which is different than accents. And he also has some reactivity issues towards other dogs. So one of the things, we'll start with the exercise. So one of the things I recommend a lot of my clients do, and this client has stairs, is to throw treats up and down the stairs. So we were saying Cuba when he goes down to the bottom of the stairs, or Cuba. And then when he comes back up, we give him another one and we say LA. And at first he was kind of lackadaisical about it, but after a while he get better and better at it. And the Guardian enjoyed doing it. I'd like her to do that at least 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening, and then when he gets the times he gets the zoomies, and then one other time throughout the day. So count each time, each number of up downs. You're gonna be a parrot, you're gonna get on my shoulder. And so that way we know what his maximum number is. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be about 15, 20 in that range, 3 times a day. So that will, now one of the problems he has is his tootsies get a little bit dirty, and his Guardian, he doesn't like his Guardian grooming him or putting booties on him. And she wants to put the booties on him to protect his feet so he doesn't get so dirty when he's out and about, but he likes to nip and bite at the hand when she's trying to do that. So that's something we want to try to do after we've exercised him. Now, he doesn't, I have a copy of the brush, or his brush here. So if I'm actually doing the brushing, it's catching his fur. So instead what I'm going to do is use this side, and I'm going to mimic. Anytime you have a dog that doesn't like a particular behavior, you want to find an alternative, a very easy version of it. Now there's nothing here to catch on his fur. So we're getting him used to just the motion of me doing this, and he's still doing residual behavior is to kind of nip at it. So, but the Guardian, when she was doing it, and she was doing it pretty quickly. And if it catches one of his matted pieces of fur and it pulls, it's going to hurt. It's natural for him to say, hey, stop that. That's hurting me. So when we do brush him, what I suggest that she do is precede it with something positive. So we have a treat here. I give him the treat. And while he's chewing on the treat, slowly. Now, and the Guardian kind of made fun of me because I'm a boy, and I don't have long hair, and I don't have to comb brush out my hair. It takes a while. But if we do it really fast and it's negative, he's gonna push back and not like doing it. So maybe this is something we just kind of do. Again, we'd like to do this after he has had his exercise. And there you go, there he goes. So if he goes to that, then we're gonna go back to this. And we want to practice having this sensation and the movement without the biting. Yes. There we go. We'll go to this one. Now, again, he is at this point protesting because I was already starting to use this side. So this is too much for him. So once or twice a day, I like the Guardian to get in the habit of feeding his kibble or his regular food. Give him a piece of kibble and then just rub it once or twice up his leg in a slow movement. And you see how he's mouthing me there, but it's not nipping with the same sort of quick action. So the idea is we're going to help him practice when not only is she not doing it fast anymore, but something good happens every time that we go through this activity. So I get this, and we can do the back legs too. And so I'd like you to do it for every one time that you brush with a brush, I'd like you to do 2 or 3 times without the brush. And see, I went slow there, and we didn't have any reaction, even though I wasn't delivering a treat. Right now, he's in a behavior pattern. When she starts doing this, I nip at her, and that makes her stop doing it. So that's just, he's programmed almost to do it because of through habit and practice. So what we want to do is we want to kind of, again, precede it with something good. These nice chewy chicken liver treats, and then we can do his leg, and it doesn't have that negative, that painful situation. All right, now they can do the same thing with his booties. Now the booties the Guardian has, she's gone through a bunch of different ones. I'm still not convinced that those are the best booties to use. The sock ones that I got, you can get pretty high top ones, and they have elastic in them. So I think that would be a little bit easier, and because they're elastic, you can kind of open it wider. Those, they're kind of, the ones that she has, they're kind of a polyurethane or a plastic of some sort, and it takes some dexterity to get them on. Also, he has longer nails, and that makes it harder too. Yes, we're talking about your nails, buddy. So what we can do for that is, for the nails, God, we have multiple things going on with these. So for the nails, what I like to do is I like to use a Dremel. And then what I do is I want to get the dog used to it. And this is what we usually recommend people do when they're puppies. So when we're feeding him his kibble, what we're going to do is give him a piece of kibble and just manipulate his fingers, his digits. So we give him the piece of kibble. If I can get one out. And you're going to practice getting him ready to do it. So you're going to hold his toe with the finger. And again, I'm not trimming it, I'm just holding it. I want him to get used to that motion. And you see he did nip, but it's a light nip, and he wasn't really biting that hard. But the idea is we keep on, as we feed him his kibble, it becomes part of the ritual. And I'm not clipping, I'm just holding onto his toenails. And then we get him another piece of kibble, and we go next. So doing this a couple times a day, just getting him used to just doing this without the culmination of me actually trimming his nails. You see, just even me touching like that, he's protesting, trying to put his teeth on me. Now remember, for the Guardian, when he does touch you with his teeth, I want to, and then freeze for a second. And if he does it a second time, then we go over there, we open the gate, and we put him through the play area. So remember, the first time we give him an opportunity, you forgot, I don't like my teeth on you, and then if he does it the second time, now the consequences, you're there. All right. So for the trimmers, what you can do is, again, make sure he's exercised first. And I would, and these are pretty long. So basically what you want to do is exercise him first, and then give him a piece of kibble, and then I usually, like for a Dremel, what I do is I turn the sound of the Dremel on. So he gets the kibble, and across the room, or somebody else, your friend is here, turns the Dremel on. And while the kibble is in his mouth, he's chewing on it, the Dremel's going, but it's not touching him, we're not touching his paws. And we keep on doing that for each one of his paws until eventually touching the sound of the Dremel being on means that I have a treat in my mouth. And I've seen dogs that do this, that go from this situation that don't like people touching their paws and do like this sort of thing like he's doing now, to the point where they're just like, yeah, give me another mani-pedi, and they're cool with it. So the idea is, at first we get them used to just the sound of the Dremel. Once we get close to with the Dremel far away, we move the Dremel a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, until eventually you can have the person right here with the Dremel turning it on or off, and the dog is completely calm. The Dremel also makes a vibration. So the next thing I would do is I would give him a piece of kibble, and I would take the Dremel when it's on and just touch his butt. But this is the business end of the Dremel. This is just the base. So this way he feels the vibrations. But now, first we have the visual of it, or the just touching the paws, and I get the kibble. Now, and then I hear the Dremel on, and I get the kibble. Now I feel the Dremel against my butt while I'm getting the kibble. And so we're creating this positive association, but we're not doing the full Monty. We're not doing the full act. And then eventually, when we get to the point where he's relaxed with us touching him, he's relaxed with the sound of the Dremel, he's relaxed with the vibration of the Dremel, then we turn the Dremel on. Let's say this is the business end of the Dremel. I hold his paw up, I give him a piece of kibble, and I just touch him just for a second. Now that's going to be startling for him, so he's going to probably react to it. So we just wait for him to relax, give him another one. And when you're touching it, it's literally that's as much touching as you're doing. Actually, a step before this, before you start, we're going to turn it on and do the backside, like I said. Then what I want you to do is hold this, give him a piece of kibble, hold his digit up, and touch it with the Dremel off. And then do that with the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So he gets used to all the individual steps of Dremeling his nails without the actual formal or the end result of the Dremel action. And eventually, once you've done that, and he's pretty relaxed when you hold it up and touch it, then you turn it on, and then you would touch it again. Now, again, this is the kind of a big shift, so it's natural for him to kind of react a little bit. So take your time and go slow. You might even just do it just one, and then give him a little bit of affection and some attention. Next one. The idea is going very slow, and eventually it becomes a positive association. Now, for the booties, we need to find booties that he actually could fit on. We need to get his nails trimmed first, so they're short. Again, I think if you get the sock ones, it should accomplish what we're looking to do, and they're just a lot easier because you expand the sock, put his paw on there, and then give him the kibble first, or the treat, then put the sock on. You're a little guy, though. It's hard to find socks that fit you. But when we do that, and we want to do that, and then immediately go for a walk if we can afterwards. And you might even have, try to get a situation where, yes, you're going to lay on your back, where he gets practice and comfortable with the socks on in a positive association. So we put the socks on, then we give him a nice little massage. Or we put the socks on and then we go for a walk. Or we put the socks on, we do the stare thing that he enjoys doing. Put the socks on and give him a bully bite. So that way he's getting, again, that positive association. Now, I also talked about rules and structure. For rules, I suggest the guardian doesn't allow him on the furniture for at least 30 days minimum, but it's more likely it needs to be about 60 or 90 days. I would recommend getting a dog bed, putting it right over the base of the stairs that go to nowhere, and that way the guardian can go sit over there as we talked about in the video above. And that way she can cuddle with him and spend a little bit of time at his level, but he can't come up to her level. Right now, because he is intact and a marker, he's really kept on that side of the baby gate. But we'd like to have him spending some time here. So one of the things we can do is take a leash, run around the leg of the table, and then run it through the handle of the leash and attach it to him. And so that way he can't get all the way to the painting. You only get to here. Make sure that, you know, wherever you position it, maybe you do it on that far one, so he can't get to anything that he can actually mark. And what we want to do is practice being in the room without being able to mark it. Now, some of the rules I suggest is the guardian should be feeding him only after she eats something first. So I usually put the food down, and then if the dog tries to come towards it, I make a hissing sound to correct. I'll make it right now. You notice how he stopped. Now, that is something that Cesar Millan does use. I'm not a fan of the dog whisperer because he uses dominance and force, but that sound is appropriate for dogs because cats, skunks, snakes, cougars, mountain lions, all these animals make a hissing sound as a warning. So dogs are programmed to respond to it. So as he's approaching, we make the hissing sound, he stops, and then we take a carrot or a chip or something like that, and we eat something in 5 or more bites ourselves. Once the dog is done, or once we're done, we invite the dog to come over and take his first bite of food. And we're going to say the word sushi. So every time he takes his first bite of food, he hears the word sushi, there's food in his mouth. So sushi means I get to eat food. After about 2 months, you'll be able to sushi, and he'll go and eat it. Now, first he's going to try to challenge you and get to where his food is, and you're going to block him, and you're just going to stand in front of him and prevent him from getting to it. And once he sits or lies down, you can take a step backwards, and then you're going to eat your chips or cracker or whatever it is, and then you're going to invite him over, and he has, now at this point, he has like a minute to come over and start eating his food. So when I offer the food and put it down, if he doesn't come over and get it, and I keep on over-encouraging him, which the guardian has done at times, that confuses the dog and think, oh, that's what she really wants me to eat. If I don't eat, then I really regain her or continue having her affection and attention. And that's validating to a dog. So I go over there, I give the dog permission to eat, and if it doesn't eat within about 3 minutes, or I would come over the bowl within a minute, I pick up the bowl, I dump it empty, and I put the empty bowl back down. He will probably go and lick the empty bowl. He doesn't eat again until the next meal. And the next meal, we repeat the same thing. If he does eat, we say sushi when he eats. If he doesn't eat, then we pull it and dump it. Now, the only time a dog will go longer than 3 days is if somebody's cheating in the house, but there's only one guardian here. So don't cheat because hunger becomes your ally. You're not saying he can't eat. You're saying you have to eat in these particular scenarios, and you eat after me because dogs eating is the most important activity. And so the guardian's going to eat something first so he sees her acting like a leader. And then he eats when she tells her to, or he doesn't. In the wild, if he comes across, he's a pack of dogs, and he comes across some food, and he's in the middle of the pack to eat, and he doesn't eat, he goes, I'm going to take a walk around the block. When I come back, I'll eat. The dogs behind him are going to eat his portion, and there will be no food left over. So that's what they're used to in the wild. Just by applying a little bit ourselves, I think that's going to make a big difference. Now, other rules, I make him sit before I let him out the door. We talked about that a little bit in the video above about going to his play area. But also, every time when I'd like the guardian to keep the leash down at the bottom of the stairs. We're kind of upstairs in an apartment. So when we get ready to go downstairs, we go downstairs and we tell him to sit. If he sits, then we pick up the leash and attach it. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I come all the way back upstairs and make sure there's nothing there that he can mark if you're leaving him there. And then I wait. And when he comes back up, then I go back down and try again. I'm only going to say it once. You do it my way or what you want doesn't happen. There's no punishment or correction. You just don't get your way. And after a while, you'll go down there and tell him to sit, and he'll sit, and you pick up the leash, and tell him to sit a second time, and he'll sit down or he'll stay seated. Then you attach the leash and then you go through the door. If he stands up again, tell him to sit before you open the door. So making him sit over and over can be really helpful for dogs. Sitting is more subordinate position. So in the sitting, they're more thinking, I'm more of a follower, as opposed to I'm telling you what to do. So let me see, what other rules? Those are some examples for rules. Another nice thing is, or another problem that he has is potty training. He doesn't have a word to potty. Now there's a dog door and he goes out sometimes to potty, sometimes he doesn't. So one of the things I would recommend my guardian does is take, when you're on a walk and he goes potty, say potty or whatever your new word is within 3 seconds of him starting. Then when he gets done, pop a treat in his mouth and say the word potty again. I would actually probably recommend coming up with a new word, business or deposit or dump or something else that, as opposed to potty, because it probably has some baggage with it. So, and then whenever he goes out through the dog door, the guardian should get up and go over there and look. And if he starts to potty, we say the word potty when he's doing it there on the little astroturf on the deck, and then have 5 treats like in a little ramekin somewhere nearby. So every time you go out there, as soon as he gets done, give him a treat, potty, potty. Make sure he's chewing the treats in about 2 to 4 bites, and we're gonna give him a treat after each bite, or we're gonna give him 5 in a row. So we want him to go in after a while, like, I will dare not waste this urine in here because this stuff is expensive. If I do it outside, I get a really good reward. And we're marking it with saying the command words. That way the dog knows what it is we want them to do. All right, so I'd also like the guardian to practice petting with a purpose. It's probably one of the most powerful things that I go over for my clients, and it's super duper simple, and a lot of my clients disregard it because it's so simple. It works through accumulation or through a lot of repetition. So right there, he's demanding attention from me. Down, down. I said it twice. Now, normally I wouldn't have a dog in my lap. But if I tell him, if he's nudging me for attention and I pet him, I'm telling him, yes, you're in charge of me. When you tell me what to do, I do it. So instead, I make the dog lay down or come and sit over here or do something to change his state. And when he does, whenever possible, we want to pet under the chin to facilitate that nose up orientation. Patting on top of the head creates a down nose orientation. That's kind of a cowering position. That's what dogs that are insecure do. So we want him to feel good about sitting. Yes, put that nose in the air. So basically, when he tells me what to do, nothing happens other than I tell him what to do. And if he does it, then he gets a reward. He gets my attention. But if he comes up and jumps on me, I ignore. If he barks at me, I ignore. If I correct him for those things, that's what he's going to continue doing. He's a big demand barker. And the guardian, unintentionally, she didn't know any better, was going over and picking him up or was talking to him or putting him on the chair. So that's rewarding him for that barking. So remember, you're going to have to tell your neighbors, look, there might be a period of time where he barks a little bit. I'm just trying to teach him not to do that, and it might be a little bit more barking, but I appreciate your patience while we work through this. And once he realizes that the barking no longer gets your response, but sitting or laying down or doing the things that you want do, he's going to start offering those behaviors more and more frequently. So when he tells me what to do, nothing happens other than I give him a counter order, tell him to sit. When he sits, I pet him on his chin, I say the word sit, and only the word sit. Then I can pet him as long as I want to. Now, after a while, he's going to come and start sitting in front of you to prepay for attention. Make sure you do pet him or reward him when he does that. Otherwise, he'll go back to jumping up and nudging you. Now, prepaying is similar to what I call petting with passive training. Passive training is waiting for the dog to voluntarily offer behavior. And we talked about that a little bit in the video above. So the guardian's hanging out, and he goes and sits. As soon as he sits, she goes over there to give him an opportunity. Nope, you got to stay over here, buddy. To give him an opportunity to sit again to let him through the door. But we're not telling him to sit, we're just waiting. And as soon as he sits, then we do it. Now, every time he sits, pet him and say sit. Every time he lays down, pet him and say crash or whatever your word to lay down is. Every time he comes to you, pet him and say the word come. If he brings you a toy, name each individual toy. Call one Santa Claus and one's Mousy. Whatever the words are. And that way you can actually have a vocabulary. Say, go get me Mousy. No, that's the carrot. Go get me Mousy. And then, so you create a vocabulary for him. The more that dogs know, the more skills and commands they know, the more confident they are because of that boost of self-esteem that we get. Careful, don't go too sideways, it'll change. And so the idea is we want him to be very confident and feel good about himself. Now, there's a couple other things that, so passive training is just waiting for the dog to offer any behavior you want voluntarily and rewarding him within that 3-second window and saying the command word. Now, we're basically downtown Santa Monica, and there's a lot of fire trucks and all sorts of stuff goes on. And he barks at all this stuff because I think he thinks he's in charge of the world. is he hasn't had a lot of rules, and his guardian, he's such a good looking dog, he's figured out how to work it like a model, and he's got her kind of wrapped around his finger a little bit. So I want the guardian to start playing a little hard to get. So you ask him to do something once. If he doesn't do it, I want the guardian to step over, and this is probably the most powerful thing that the guardian's going to do, is step over and disengage and come over here and grab your phone or look through a magazine or whatever it is, wait for him to stop barking, then tell him to sit. If he does, then you go over and re-engage with him. If he doesn't say it doesn't do it at the first request, then you just keep reading your magazine. And he's going to raid bloody murder, and he's going to cry and bark like a storm, but eventually he's going to realize that doesn't even get her to look. She doesn't even blink when I do that. But boy, as soon as I sit down, she is off like a rocket over here. And the more that happens, the more he's going to start offering those behaviors. Now, when you do hear like a fire truck or something like that, I know timing is hard. You can't really trigger a fire truck. You could record it. And I actually played a recording of a dog on my phone, and that caused him to react. So you might want to record, go to the dog park, and when the dogs come up to you and they're barking, pull out the audio version of your phone and record a little bit of that audio segment. What you want to do then is what we call counter conditioning. So I have a treat here in my hand. I'm going to smash it so it's flat like a pancake now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him start nibbling on this. As soon as he starts nibbling, I press play on my phone. Now, as soon as I press play, and he wants to get away, that's as soon as I let go of it. So I press play. And I'm playing the sound of the dogs barking at the dog park, but I'm playing it at a volume that is so low that he can just barely hear it. But while he's hearing it, he's getting this high value training treat. And if he does what he's doing now, then don't practice this. He's got to be chewing the reinforcer, which is this, and then we play the stimulus, which is the recording. So if you record a fire siren, a fire engine, or whatever these things are, you can help him practice these things by giving him a treat. And now he's all treated out. We just gave him a lot of treats running up and down the stairs. But so don't do it, practice it then. Give him the treat and then play it at a very low volume. And then keep on playing it until you don't see his ears moving, he's not reacting to it at all. Then you play it a little bit louder volume. And this is not all in one session. This is going to take you several sessions. But eventually you'll get it playing through speakers and it'll sound like a real fire truck is in your apartment. And he's just going to ignore it because he's become associated. The fire truck means I get treats. And after a while, he won't react to that. So any sound that he reacts to, the blender, the street sweepers, honking horns, or whatever it is, find a recording of it, help him practice just the easiest version possible. The lowest volume while he's having a positive reinforcement. And after a while, he'll look forward to those things. Let me see, what else did we talk about? I'm trying to think. What else did we talk about? Is there anything else you want to ask me about that we haven't covered?
Walking, if he stops all of a sudden because
Okay.
I'm asking him to heel and he stops, he doesn't
Sure.
like it.
So basically, if the guardian asks him to walk and he just stops and she stops, then she's telling him that yes, you're in charge of the walk. So we can do a couple things. We can have treats like this and lure him towards getting the treat. We can use like a martingale or something like that, some sort of collar that doesn't give him the ability to sit down. But what I would do is problem is in Santa Monica, there's not a lot. In the Midwest, usually I tell people just to go make sure you're on a harness or something where it's not going to hurt the dog, and put him on grass and just keep going. And that way because if the dog stops and you stop, well, then I can control you. And I think that's as a microcosm of him. I think that he thinks he controls his guardian. And his guardian, because he's super cute and she's a nice person, she wants to love him, has given in a lot. And so I think that's confused him in thinking, I'll just shut down or I'll throw a temper tantrum and I'll eventually get my way. So we're going to have to kind of help him learn that that's not going to be the case anymore. And it's going to be about a week or two of us not giving in, not even looking at him. Or if he stops, maybe take him to instead of taking him on a walk in the neighborhood, go to the north of Montana and Santa Monica so that there's grass. Have him walk on the grass, and if he stops, just keep going, and he's in grass, so we're not going to hurt him. But he needs to understand that we're just not going to stop. I think he's willful for a reason, because I think that, again, thinks he's got his guardian wrapped around his finger, and so he can get her to do things for him. Now, last little thing is for feeding. We talked about that earlier, but again, that's going to be a big one. So don't over encourage him. If he doesn't eat, that's on him. Yes, I know you want to get down, don't you? He looks like a little Ewok. Look how furry and cute he is. But that's probably the part of his problem is he's so cute. His guardian's letting him get away with things, and now we've created a little bit of a petulant dog, and you're spoiled, and you think you can get your way. So the more the guardian plays hard to get, the more the guardian starts asking for a sit or a down to give him affection. So even if you want to pet him, tell him to sit. If he doesn't sit, then don't pet him. So from now on, he's got to earn his affection. If he doesn't, then the guardian's got other things to do. You're going to step on this side of the play gate. The video above, I think more than anything else in your situation is going to help because you're going to be able to move away from him. Now, the last thing that you can do when he's doing this is if he's barking up a storm, you could leave, but that's inconvenient for you. And I think just moving over here and just kind of biting the bullet and just dealing with it and not looking at him, after a while he'll get more and more relaxed or more and more come to the conclusion that that's not going to work for him. Well, this is Frankie, the intact dog that hopefully is going to get not be intact in the future. I think that's really going to help. And this is his roadmap to success. Now remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it. Right, Frankie?